Hi, everybody. Welcome to Conversations with Alena. I'm Alena. In this show, we celebrate moments of divine awareness and where these moments take you in your journey of growth. Join us for conversations exploring people, their aha moments, and the lives they have created. This episode is sponsored by Spaces Quarterly, a modern living guide. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations with Alena. And today I have another awesome person. Her name is Bernadette Gleason. And we're going to change the order up a little bit. I know usually I do a quote and then we come back to it, but you'll understand why I do this. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. All right. She is a Fort Wayne, Indiana resident. And I don't know if you know, that's where I reside also. And she's just doing major things here. First of all, she's an inspirational speaker and a recovery life coach at Bernadette Gleeson Coaching. She's fueled by the fact that recovery for people with substance use disorders is more than possible. I agree. And as a person in long-term recovery herself, and you love the people who can walk the walk, you know, what it means to her is that drugs and alcohol do not have to limit her in any area of her life, although it wasn't always that way. She has a very positive obsession harnessed in the research of recovery. I love that. And she has a uniquely powerful program of action to facilitate a paradigm shift. And we've talked about those paradigms, old beliefs, and I'll take any kind of wonderful program to shift a paradigm anytime. And then this is what I really love. She takes people, okay, let me do this correctly. The paradigm shift that takes people from recovery from towards her trademark approach of what people are into recovery to. And I love that because that shows future. Other things, okay, just to make sure you know, she's a professional coach, a teacher, a social worker. She has recruiting and corporate training for over 15 years. And if you saw her, she doesn't look like she could have that for 15 years. She looks so young. But with that, here she is, Bernadette Gleason. And I would like her to tell you her quote. So will you start with your quote?
Yes. First, thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm
really
so
grateful
happy to
here.
have you. Yes.
My quote is, "We are fortunate when we can become all that was granted and then serve like we have never heard of doubt."
Wonderful. And who wrote that quote?
That would be me. We were joking. I said earlier to Alena that I'm arrogant enough to use my own quote.
No.
There's that side. The truth is that, you know, it's easier to own something when it's really yours and really believe in it and live it. So
well, you know what? I just spoke with someone about affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about affirmations, and we were saying the best affirmation for yourself is one that you make up yourself.
Unequivocally.
Because
Yeah.
then it means something and it clicks with you.
Absolutely.
So it's the same thing with the quotes.
Yeah, it's soul deep then, really.
Yeah, it is soul deep.
Yeah.
So anyway, now the tricky question. Well, you wrote the quote.
Mm-hmm.
So this has a meaning on your life, and I want to hear it.
It does. I think that we have everything that we need, and I think that we fail to believe that at times. And often. I think, either we're getting up every morning and saying somebody screwed up on me, or I have everything I need. And so that's kind of the beginning of the quote, which is, I am fortunate when I can live everything that I was granted. So first I need to know that I have it.
Right.
And then I need to step into it, or what I prefer to say, trek into, kind of what already exists if I have it. And fully fill in my piece to the puzzle. And the whole serve like we have never heard of doubt is just saying, hey, there's going to be fear. You're totally human. Right. Rock it out. Don't worry about what people think you can or can't do. Your brain is going to tell you things. It's going to tell you in various ways that you're not good enough in some certain way. You may have insecurities that pop up. It's completely human. It's completely normal. Mm-hmm. And step into it anyways. Just keep showing up.
Keep showing up.
Yeah.
Keep that persistence. Keep going, keep going. That's exactly right. Yeah. But you have to believe that it's in yourself.
You
And
do.
that's the
At
first.
least enough. At least
Yeah,
for that
at
moment.
least
And then we'll worry about the next one.
Yeah,
Right?
don't worry about that. Take it one step at a time.
Right.
Well, don't we all, though? I mean, that's the journey, taking it one step at a time.
Unequivocally. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So, and I was just telling you how you had so many lives already. So I want to hear your aha moment. And what brought you to the wonderful work that you are now doing? Or if you have another, I don't want to stop you. If you have another aha moment that you want to talk about, feel free. Don't let me put any bars or
No,
limits.
I think you're very intuitive, Alena. That's what I think.
Thanks.
I think that for some people who say that they are in long-term recovery or that they're in recovery at all, many times people assume that their aha moment would be when they put down the drink or the drug or both.
Right.
And though I can honestly say that that was kind of a huge deal.
I'm sure it was.
It was a really huge deal.
I bet.
But that was not it for me.
I didn't think so. Cool.
And so, staying in long-term recovery and there's multiple pathways to and in recovery. So whatever that means to someone else, what I realized over a period of time, particularly about 3 years into recovery, is that, man, I am making choices from this place of moving away from a negative. I am making choices from this place of who I don't want to be. And so it still felt like I was fighting the addiction at times. And I think that the cure to that was when I really finally opened up to the fact that I am no different than any other human being.
Well, you're not.
And that I have a limitation, but so does everyone else.
Oh, yeah.
Or many more, one limitation, 12, it doesn't really matter. And, and that all limitation is something we didn't ask for. And depending upon our perspective, it was given to us, granted to us, happened to us, for us, or could potentially limit our life in some way.
It could.
And I realized, wow, this doesn't have to limit me anymore. And so then that became my moment to realize, wow, I am the same as everyone else in that I have a limitation, but crap, I am sexy unique in the fact that I have an opportunity to rise out of those limitations.
Yes, you
and
do.
that is the beautiful part of everybody's story.
Yes.
See, like most people, and thank you for not, I'll tell you, when people interview or when, I talk to people, they want to know about the addiction, right? Turn on the news, look around, they want to hear about the drama.
Yeah, the drama.
Right?
Yeah. No,
that's why people watch Intervention.
That's right.
But there's this really, that's just a story, and it's
That's
not
right.
a very interesting
No.
one. The beautiful part of the story is like, okay, you had a from, sweet. Look at your two.
Yes.
Look at you filling in the, the
Look
whole
at you
piece of your
now.
puzzle.
That's right.
And when we do that, wow, a beautiful picture is formed. Once we can collaborate and work with others.
What I want to ask you, I want to take you back just a little bit. Now, when you said you were acting, because I want to make it clear to the listeners, okay?
Sure.
Because sometimes, a little bit of clarity helps. When you were acting from your recovery, can you give people a for instance? Because that might not might not understand what you meant, although I think they do, and I don't mean to dumb things down. That's not why. I just want to add more clarity to it. So.
No, yeah, I have a million examples, really. But, I would say I can tell you a bit about what recovery from sort of paradigm or perspective is. It's when people, they wave a white flag of surrender often. And we do that. And people, you don't even have to have a substance use disorder or be in recovery to wave a white flag. I mean, we do it for things that we feel like we can't control.
Yep.
We do it for pain, when the pain becomes great enough.
Yeah.
We do it for fear, hopelessness, helplessness. And so
when we
there's
don't
nothing
forgive
wrong with
ourselves.
that.
And when we don't forgive ourselves, too.
Absolutely. And so, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's just we can't stay there. Also, we have a tendency to have like a tremendous focus on our limitation, and we say, we focus on what's wrong with me all the time,
Right.
as opposed to what's right with me.
Yes.
We blanket our limitation over every area of our life, and you'll hear some people who are currently in recovery, and then people who may still be in their active, whatever they want to call it, but using in some way. And we say things like, I'm an alcoholic, so I lack discipline, or, I'm an addict, so I have a thinking problem, or I obsess over everything. And so these are just a couple of things, but we're making choices we're focusing on the limitation itself, on the problem, on the, on the limitation, the disorder, the disease. We're giving it a lot of energy.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
And people who are even, to bring it to an everyday, if people don't feel they're addicted to something.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm the first, like I told you, I love caffeine. So that's mine. But I'm talking about people who are not happy with their lives. They might not be addicted, but they do the same thing.
Absolutely.
In a prison, they're putting limitations. I was talking to someone about daydreaming. People don't daydream. And they don't even want to deal with their possibilities. As soon as they put a cap, someone was telling me, tragedy is down below. Then you get to normal ground, and on normal ground where you you're sleepwalking. You're just going through the motions.
Sure.
You're not happy. And to reach even higher, you've got to dream. You've got to know you've got to open up you can't hear the naysayer saying, no, you can't do that. No, you can't. You've got to open up and see your possibilities.
Yeah.
So that happens with just normal people. My job is to help just people to get out of their prisons. I see it all the time. They put these limitations. I can't do this because.
Yeah.
I can't do this because I'm not good enough. I can't do this because I don't have that education. I can't do this because it's the same thing as being addicted.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Absolutely. I think that the big deal in so many ways is that because we don't talk in a manner at times that's really beneath the surface. When we go about our daily lives, we don't get to that soul deep sort of place.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of people walking around on the earth who still feel they're very different or unique in some way. And when we realize, like, whoa, this whole limitation deal, this is kind of the great equalizer. I mean, it really is. This is kind of the great equalizer.
It is an equalizer.
And, if we could really start to talk to people on a more intimate level and connect with people on a more intimate level, I think that we would have a better chance to look around and say, you know what, I am okay. Yes. And I do have everything that I need. Yes. And to be able to say, hey, Alena, I really struggle with this. Could you help me with it? Or could you, and then help me rock out what I've been granted already, help me, support me in the stuff that I can actually give to the world and help me in the stuff that I may struggle with, and vice versa. But what if we could just be open about that?
What if?
And particularly, I do say for people in recovery or for people who have something that has a great stigma around it, it's it's not the most welcoming thing to say, like, hey, yeah, I mean, I'm a drug addict, or, it's not the most welcoming thing to say, like, hey, I struggle with substance use disorders, when, and then they want to know what drug it is, which can always make it worse depending upon the drug, by the way. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Oh, you just drink, or you do meth, it's, they're grabbing their purse or something,
Well, it's like that with everyone. They say the more you are in a position where you're hurting, or where you are, going through something, you draw in. And what you really need to do is reach out.
Yes.
So
maybe we could all create more of a safe space for people to do that.
Isn't that the best idea in the world? And release the judgment. Yes. Not have the judgment. Instead, open it, take it for what it is, and help. Yeah. Definitely. That would be ideal, wouldn't it?
Yeah. What if we all walked around and we were like, just viewed everybody like untapped, unrecognized talent? Like,
wouldn't that be cool?
Everywhere we went.
That would be a utopia.
Change the world.
Wouldn't that be utopia?
Change the world. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'll join you. Let's do it. I'm all for it. Well, now, what about, let's see what you've done. I want to hear more of the recovery too.
Oh, yeah. Why don't we wave an orange flag of surrender?
Orange.
Why don't
orange.
we?
What's
well,
orange?
Whatever your favorite color is, but to me,
blue.
Orange is like joy. It's like straight joy. So,
all right.
So
good. Let's go.
It's okay to wave a white flag. I'm not saying it doesn't have its purpose.
Right.
But why can't we also surrender to things that already exist for us as well,
Right.
like joy, connection, purpose, freedom, sexy.
yeah,
I mean, come
yes,
on,
why
like
not?
why don't we just we
Right.
can wave that orange flag too. We can start to make choices from the place of right now, from who we are and who we want to be, as opposed to, oh my gosh, don't want to be that person. Oh, don't want to be.
No, I think that's
it's
good.
a total shift.
It is a total
in
shift.
perspective. Why can't we live in the gray instead of the either or?
I agree with that.
And is like my favorite word.
Yeah.
So I want to tell you about this sign at Starbucks. I'm going to give you an
Okay.
example. I'm going to give your listeners a real life example
Cool.
of
I wanna
the
hear it.
difference of recovery from and recovery to.
Okay, cool.
So if your listeners are Starbucks folks, or they've ever been in a Starbucks, there's this little sign up, and it's called the Barista Promise, right?
Yeah.
And
I
it
don't know
says,
this. I go-
love your beverage, or let us know. We'll always make it right. So I took a yellow marker, but I don't recommend defacing Starbucks property, okay? I don't want your listeners to think that. I took a yellow marker and I X'd out the or, and I wrote and. Love your beverage and let us know. We'll always make it right. So what do you think it's going to do to the barista's swag that day? You know what I
it's
mean?
gonna
Like, it's
turn
a
them-
totally
yeah,
different
it's
perspective to
positive.
live from.
Yes, it is.
It really, really is. And so that's just a simple example of
That's
the way
nice.
that I've shifted and try to look at life. I mean, what we think about ourselves and say to ourselves, in addition to what we are saying to others, is creating us in every moment.
Oh, yes.
And so if I'm walking around in my head thinking, man, if I don't meditate this morning, I'm going to get drunk, or, this either or sort of thing, or if
I call it the all or nothing.
yeah.
What's that all or nothing? I don't understand that. If I do not do this morning, I'm ruined all day.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
No, you just do it at night or do it the next day.
Yeah, or like right now is the opportunity to
Yeah.
be who you want to be.
That's
so
right.
restart your day
So
at
restart.
12.
That's
at
right.
1,
You
at
can
2.
do that too.
Yeah.
Do whatever. Be flexible.
conscious.
Work with
Conscious
yourself.
choices.
Yeah. And be patient with yourself.
And then, another thing, when we're anytime we're kind of at a low point, or when we are vulnerable, maybe in a place where we're waving that white flag, I find it also very interesting is that people tell you what your problem is, and then they also tell you what your solution is, right? That's recovery from,
Don't you
right?
just love that?
But in recovery too, it's like, no, you don't get to tell me anymore. Like
Right.
I get to consciously make my own decisions now.
That's cool.
I get
cool.
to redefine everything to be a life acrobat.
That's right.
I want, to walk from my highest point. So yeah, those are some of the differences.
I want to ask you a question now. When in the recovery from, you kind of create what we call in the lingo. You kind of create a vacuum because you're taking away, number one, the substance. Number two, well, that's pretty big. I mean, that's really big because that's something people have relied on.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that creates a vacuum in the person. Now, recovery two, because I'm not sure recovery one, I know some people turn very religious at that point, or what they're trying to fill a void because they've created a vacuum. So they're trying to fill that void with something. How does recovery two, like some of the things that you implement, fill that vacuum so that the person has a new, it shifts the paradigm too, if you can fill that vacuum with more of the positive, the good. What are some of the things that you use with people?
Yeah, I mean, well, we definitely start with, just core values in general.
Cool.
That's a great place to start. And
Like, for instance?
And say, man, what do you have to have? Like, what do you have to have each day? Or, I ask people to think of
That's good.
the best day that they have ever had.
Ah, yes.
What's there for you? What's showing up
What's it
for
look
you?
like? Yeah.
So, for me, my top values are unity, connection. I mean, those are just, some
Yeah,
of them.
yeah.
And then, we kind of work out, is it a fear-based value? Sometimes we're not really conscious of that,
That's very true.
Or is it really a conscious-based value? I take people through what tend to be recovery terms that we use a lot. And then, I get them to redefine it exactly from what will, inspire them.
Propel them forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do a lot of different activities to really, I have like 6 recovery to axioms, and each one of them have like an intention statement with them. So it's, core, consciousness, connection, congruency, collaboration, choose your cosmos. So we kind of work,
I love that. Yeah.
you know, we work through that together.
Cool.
Yeah, and there's different questions and activities and things that we do. You know, so by the end, they're getting up every day and they're just giving whatever the hell they want to the world, and that's
cool.
and that's what it's about right there.
Oh, I think that's very good. Mm-hmm. And then now for you, personally, where has it led you? Now I know you career-wise, but in your life, how have you bloomed and from everything you've developed and done, and how are you growing?
Yeah, you know, I think that, again, it was just a huge deal for me to finally believe, you know, just this deep and profound inner knowing that I have everything that I need, and you know, what do I want to get up every day and give to the world? And when I realized that that actually is a choice and that the possibilities are completely endless,
Yes.
then it's in every interaction. You know, it's in every interaction where I feel completely you know, I don't want to say every interaction, that would be not human. Like, you know, the majority of my interactions, I feel completely right in the world and connected, and that is the thing that I sought for my whole life. Whereas drugs and alcohol was the way that I felt connected for a really long time. Now, because I believe that I am the same as everybody, essentially.
Right.
And then
Well,
unique,
we are,
unique in those ways with what we've been given to give back to the
and
world.
what we choose. You know,
Yeah.
we choose our traits, what we
Yeah.
want to be and who we want to be, and that's what makes us different and what talents we want to show.
Yeah.
But yeah, our essence is pretty much all the same. We're all from one source, just.
Definitely. So yeah, I mean, it's just I really just want to be a liberating force in other people's lives to do the same thing, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's what I believe I'm put here to do. So
I think that is awesome. Yeah. And then you know, I think that coming from what you had to come from to the full circle, think of how massive it could be to help people. I mean, even in a massive level. You know, just to really grow and get your program really, I mean, just have it grow here, but have it go big.
Yeah. I hope it reaches, you know, more people, because I think that everyone can connect to this. I believe that we, you know, we all can be in recovery from something at any given point in our lives. We can all carry around stuff that could potentially limit us in some way.
Oh, sure.
And so, you know, I just don't think that there's any reason that we have to continue to believe that one thing or two things is some scarlet letter, you know, for the rest of our lives.
Definitely not.
And we don't have to fight. We don't have to fight. This thing. We can really live, you know, the difference is living also defensively versus offensively, you know, and that defensive, you know, a lot in our society, we think that we're living offensively if we're yelling loud enough. But any decision we're making from a place of fear is a defensive approach.
Oh, it's so.
You know, and so when we're living offensively, I'm basically saying, you know what? I don't have to protect what matters anymore.
No.
I can actually live what matters.
Yeah.
And that's a really different way of stepping out your front door.
Yeah. And I always find anytime I make decisions from fear, it is usually the wrong decision. Because it's based on the wrong facts. Or not even facts. It's fear.
Yeah.
And it's just, you make the wrong decisions. If you can get that out of there and look at it in a more objective way, you pick better choices. You know, and you don't limit yourself.
You feel free.
And you feel
it's crazy.
Free.
Yeah,
Yes.
when you make a choice that actually aligns, that's a conscious choice, and you're like, yeah, this is
and
you know
what's
this
right
is
for you.
from the place that is most important to me,
Right.
as opposed, you know, from that place of moving away from all those negatives who I don't want to be. It's a completely freeing experience.
And when you are not basing things on fear or negativity, it's so easy to spot it when it happens.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like I
it just feels icky.
It
Like,
does.
immediately. You're just like, ooh, get this off of me.
It does
I need
feel
a
icky.
shower.
And you have to listen, because I do a lot of traveling, for instance, or I do a lot of, I do a lot of traveling and I have friends or even some relatives who say, "Oh my gosh, you can't talk to any strangers." That's the one that always comes. Don't talk to any strangers. And I just look at them and I say, "Do you know who I am?" Because I don't know a stranger. You know what I mean? I talk to everybody from the time I'm on the plane to the time. Heck, when I made bestseller in Canada that day before I even launched, I think everybody in Toronto airport knew. And but if I went, and was that fun? Yes, because really I was excited for myself, but I changed people's days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I changed their days, because I'd say, they'd say, "How are you?" I say, "Oh my gosh, I just did this." And then I turn and I say, "How's your day going?" And all this stuff. And we start talking. And I thought to myself, if I was coming from a fear base, I would be holding, number one, all that good news inside me, or all the good day inside me. And I wouldn't be helping somebody else's day be better. And it would diminish what I was feeling, which would be so awful. So if you gotta let it out and meet people. So why would I want to limit that part of my personality?
Heck no.
See what I mean? And then you think how sad that they think that way.
Well, yeah, no, certainly no judgment, but it sounds like one of those fear-based values for sure.
It is, and it's just and it goes through every part of life. And it's
tough.
just
I've
something
definitely
that's
been
gotta
there,
Yeah, I think, and fear. Well, and I always say people who are numbing themselves, that's when they turn to. I see people who are very well established in life, and it's usually alcohol. I see it a lot, and when things aren't going quite right, instead of looking inside and saying, "Is this where I want to be? Is this really the life I wanted?" And really feeling what's right for you. How can I better this? Do I have to leave the situation, or can I make the situation better? Instead of taking that bull by the horns and going, knowing yourself, they always seem to choose numbing it with either prescription drugs or drink.
Yeah, and I definitely
more.
I'm not a part of the medical community, but I tend to believe at times I don't believe that it's necessarily a choice for all of us when we're in it, and I think that we have these moments, and this is just my experience. So I'm not a medical professional.
No.
But
I know.
you have these moments of clarity. Yeah. When if enough people were around that kept reaching out and asking or just saying how you doing with no judgment,
right, and
listening, and I always say we need to acknowledge the hell before we can, acknowledge and validate the hell before we can even offer the hope, and and so there are those moments of clarity, but when you're in it, you really don't feel like you have choice. And I'm one of those people that does believe it's an actual disorder, that doesn't need to control me anymore. But that when it's in some of us, and that's not all of us.
No.
But again, that's for nobody else to look at the guy across the room and say, you have that. Each individual gets to decide, whether they need to really shift. Hopefully, when they have that moment of clarity, there's all these moments I feel like where we have that moment of clarity or whatever it is, where we feel like we have a choice to get out.
Yes.
And I was really lucky that there were a lot of hands out
of awareness
at that time.
That's good.
But there's other people, just beautiful, amazing, brilliant. Some of our most brilliant people numb, of course, because their brain is just, it's just, man. And you know what else they
and
feel? They feel so much. They feel so much, man. I love those people. I know. Me too. These are my people. And so, we would never say to a person, when somebody gets off their insulin or, and they show up at the emergency room and, they've kind of gone into this diabetic relapse, if you will.
Okay.
Nobody judges them at that emergency room.
No.
You know, somebody comes in high on meth or heroin or, blitzed out of their mind on alcohol. I can tell you by personal experience, you're not going to get the best
Isn't that
reaction.
sad?
So, I think a great deal of the work that I do, even though I focus on recovery, is to break the stigma, is to show up and say, to be that person that says, you know what, I am a person in long-term recovery. And for me, what that means is, instead of, again, in recovery from, we tend to hide our limitation. We don't share it with anyone.
You don't share it.
No, I do, but
Yeah, I
a
know
lot
you
of
do.
people don't. And I
Yeah.
think it's part of the reason is
Well,
that
that's
stigma.
not the reaching out.
Part of the reason is the stigma.
So you hide, and I think that harbors it.
Yeah.
Instead
So
of-
we see the millions upon millions of people on the news every day
Yeah.
and the monstrous effects of addiction on families, communities, and society.
Yeah,
but
we
we don't hear about the 24 million people in long-term recovery in this country.
Yeah, isn't
We don't
that
hear
the
about
truth?
that. No.
Yeah.
And we don't we don't hear about the fact that if people who have substance use disorders can get to 5 years of abstinence, they have an 80 to 90% that they will remain substance free the rest of their life. We don't hear about
We
those
don't
numbers.
hear about
Heck
any
no.
of
That's why I'm
that.
showing up here today. No,
Yeah, no, I think that's
No,
good. No,
that's great.
I think
No.
people need to know that.
They do. It's hope.
You got to.
It's hope.
It is hope.
It's-
Well, it's also realistic hope.
Yes, heck yeah.
It's not pie in the sky hope. It's
This
really
is the
happening.
really, really happening. There's a lot of evidence, beautiful
And
research
that
out there,
gives hope
evidence-based
for
research.
all the others who have found themselves in
No
that
doubt.
situation and don't know how to get out.
It's more than a possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what needs to be out there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, you're moving mountains. I mean, you really, really
With a lot
are.
of help. How about that?
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
With friends like you.
You've got to have
Yeah.
a lot of help.
Yeah.
Nothing ever is accomplished without help from other people. So it's good. It's good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm very proud of you. I think it's
I'm
a
proud of
wonderful
you.
thing.
You're a big deal. You're doing big things, lady.
Well, I'm trying. I'm
It's
trying
cool.
to change awareness.
It's cool.
You
We're
know,
just doing our
or
part.
get
We're doing our
awareness.
part
We're doing our part
to raise the
Isn't that-
consciousness. Just a little bit.
Well, yeah, get people to understand that they have so many possibilities.
Yep.
And so, yeah, finding the awareness, which is what this, all these aha moments and seeing this celebrating of what you can create once you get that aha moment. So you decided, and that's how you decided to start helping other people.
Yeah, I was getting annoyed.
That's
Yeah.
a good. Okay.
I was getting a little annoyed at people shortchanging themselves. People that I love and adore, and and I see their brilliance and their beauty, and so I said, no more. Let's come up. Let's start writing, Bernadette. I've done research on recovery since I entered into it, and in my graduate work, I really dove in to the research on recovery years ago, and so this has just been an ongoing passion of mine for a long time. And so then it's about not only just off the cuff, what do I know about life and what is my experience, but also really basing it on research, using my own creativity and my ability to create curriculum and teach and do workshops and stuff, which is I love to do, because I just love connecting. I love just reaching in and saying, give me your soul and then I'll give you mine back,
I do too.
it's pretty sweet. And so just started doing little workshops here and there and started doing little groups. And of course I went away to I did coaching school as well to get another certification, because I want to live by at least the standard ethics of kind of the coaching federation and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
so did that and and just started doing it. I guess I didn't give it much thought in terms of when did it I think it was just this brewing sort of like, we can be so much more, we can, and the possibilities are endless. And when I saw some of the things just working on a small scale, one-on-one, and then a few people, and I saw that effect that it had on them in their lives, then I just kept going, bigger. So.
And that's kind of how I did it too. So I started that
Catches
same
fire.
way. Yeah, it does catch fire.
Yeah.
And then when you see the things that you've learned or that you've researched and learned, and then I started teaching through the court system, volunteer for people. And the more I saw it work, and I saw people really starting to change their lives and making them better, and understanding how important it was and how they had it in them, that fed it even more and more. And I think that's how people start, you know?
Absolutely.
Make it bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I almost think it's profane, you know, to just stop giving it that. Like,
it is. It is. Because, well, it can't. Because you once you gain the information, or you gain the awareness, you know, and I always say your soul is for greater expression and greater expansion. And so it wants to grow. It wants to just get bigger and bigger. And that expression to help others to come to the awareness, you want to see others succeed. You want to see others know that they have so much possibility. And so it just grows because your soul, it wants it.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
you might as well use your magnificent gifts for magnificent reasons.
Exactly.
No doubt.
And that's what's going to make the world a better place.
Yes.
I firmly believe. Indeed.
Yes.
My 10-year-old son says that all the time.
Your 10-year-old
I love that word.
is a charmer. I love it.
He is. He is a charmer. Oh, Bernadette, thank you so much for being here.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And okay, now, if somebody is listening to this and they say, man, I really would like to know more about Bernadette, how can they get hold of you?
BernadetteGleason.com or Bernadette at BernadetteGleason.com. They can email me. They can find me on Facebook.
Oh, and you're doing TED Talk.
Oh, I'm doing a TED Talk.
You got to remember that. Yeah.
Yes.
So they can come see
Plugging
you there,
myself.
too.
Yes.
Plug yourself shamelessly.
Yeah.
Yes.
TED Talk May 16th, Fort Wayne, and it'll be at the Miro Center for Research and Innovation, and from 9 to 5.
Ooh, I'll try to stop by.
Cool.
I think that would be cool. Yeah.
Good times.
Oh, it will be. And I hope all of you have gained some awareness, some insight, help it improve your day. If you know anybody who can use this kind of help or would love to know Bernadette, pass the word along. I'm sure you do things not just in Fort Wayne, but all over.
All over. Yeah, absolutely.
that's
Workshops,
cool.
speaking,
Yes.
one-on-one coaching.
One-on-one coaching,
All over
and
the country.
yeah,
I've done
because it's a
one-on-one coaching.
wonderful, wonderful program, and definitely helps people move forward. And then if you want to know anything else about me, Alena Chapman, you can go to alenachapman.com. If you want to learn about any other podcasts, it's listed on the website, also iTunes and YouTube. And like I always, woohoo! Make it an awesome day. And thank you very much for coming. Okay.
High five.
High five. You can learn more about me by visiting alenachapman.com or follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Thank you.